to Philadelphia. Harriet was my mama's name. And she named me Arminta Ross. And my mama's name is Harriet Ross, like I say, and my daddy's name is Ben Ross. And I live with my mama and my daddy on Master Robinson's farm. Well, let's see, I was well, I don't know how old I was, but I was real young. And one day, my mama, she come in and she tell me, Master done sold you down the creek to work at some white lady's house. Miss Susan, taking care of her baby. Well, when Mama told me that, all I could say is, wow, Mama, where's the honor working Miss Susan's house? Why can't Miss Lady take care of Miss Susan's baby? Why can't Miss Susan take care of her own baby? I didn't say what. Yes, ma'am. My mama says you best be quiet and thankful. That's what you better do. You get popped in the mouth. Besides, my mama was right. I could have been sold way down the river. Then I'd never see my family again. But I'm still sad, you know? Because I was going to miss all my brothers and my sisters and my friends. Well, maybe not my brothers. They always teasing me, calling me skinty minty, skinny as a rape. I hate it. Besides, I never lived in a white lady's house before. Maybe I'll get my own room. And it'll be real big, and I'll have my own bed. It'll be all nice and warm and quiet, and I have it all to myself. Maybe I like living in Miss Susan's house. Boy, was I wrong. Because I can't stand Miss Susan's baby. She cries when she's wet. She cries when she's hungry. And sometimes when ain't nothing wrong at all, she cries. There was one morning when I finally got that baby to go to sleep and stop crying. But then Miss Susan come in and she says, go help in the kitchen, seeing as how you can't clean right. So I did. When I gets in the kitchen, they give me this little bowl and they says, go set the porch for Miss Susan's tea time. Well, when I look in the bowl, I see all these funny little white blocks in it. So I said, what's this for? And they say, child, ain't you ever seen sugar before? Well, I've seen sugar before, but don't look as strange as this. So I just set it on the porch. I just want to try it. I wonder, does it still taste like sugar even when it's in those funny little block shapes? I just want to taste one. Hey you, right there. Can you look around and make sure nobody's coming? No, you gotta look around. Okay? Like sugar candies. And then Miss Susan come in with all her white lady friends, and I know that they just see me eating it, and I know I was going to get another beating for it. And I just tell myself, I can't take another beating. So I run right off the porch, right past Miss Susan. Then I tell myself, run home. But I don't know which way stop Miss Susan. It's a farmhand. He don't even see me. He just dropped the slop right on top of me. But I'm just so hungry. I'm running all that ways that I just eat the slop. Right on my lap. The pig, get. They try to take my food, so I just eat it faster. I can't get none. But then it starts to get real dark, and I can't see my ways. So I spend the night. The sun went up and came down 4 times before I just get so tired from fighting those pigs, and I'm so hungry. I just tell myself, any beating Miss Susan got for you has got to be better than this. So I hop the fence. I walk all the way back to Miss Susan's house. And when I get there, Miss Susan, she don't say nothing. She just says, go hitch up the wagon. So I do. And I sit on the porch. And then Miss Susan say, go sit in the wagon. And wouldn't you know? She drove me all the way back to Master Bruce's farm, all the way back to my mama. Oh, and when we gets there, Miss Susan, she real ornery. She says, Arminta Ross, you've been a bad girl. You can't cook right, you can't clean right, you can't even take care of my babies right. I want my money back. And Master Bruce, he just shake his head. No. He said, a deal's a deal. I'll take back the girl, but you ain't getting your money back. And Miss Susan, she don't know what to do. She just stormed off real mad, like, I'm just happy that I didn't get a beating from Miss Susan that day. I never see her again. Except my mama, she said that she was real worried for me. She said I could have been killed for running off like that. Oh. So I get to spanking from my mama instead. But wouldn't you know, that's the best beatings I ever get. Master Rodas has church meetings in my mama's house. He says God keeps us in line, but it ain't God that keeps us in line. It's my mama. They calls her Old Grit. Henry's here tonight. His little girl been missing for 2 days now. Don't nobody know where she run off to. Missy Nola's here tonight, too. I can't stand her because she's so nosy. Antonia's here tonight, who I loves her. She's so sweet, but she is so quiet. Oh, my mom is here. We're about to start. Henry! I says calm down now. Just calm down. I ain't come down for no one, Rick. My little girl been missing for 2 days now, and I know who's done it. It's them cannons. They stealing niggas left and right, and I'm fixing to do something about it. You mean you thinking about killing them white folks? Like that time gonna do it? I'm gonna do whatever it takes. If that means killing the next one, then that's what I'm fixing to do. Well, then you just gonna get killed. Because I heard that they done hung Nat Turner today for killing them white people. And I also heard that the Negroes that done help them done run off on some underground railroad. Don't make no sense to me, but that's what I heard. Enola, hush up now. We ain't talking about no underground railroad. And what's we talking about, Rick? Some train that runs under the ground, or we talking about getting my girl back? Now, I come here tonight because I'm fixing on running a raid on the Canaan farm. Now, I says, who's with me now? Who's with me? Henry, sit down. I said sit down. Ain't nobody running a raid on the Canaan farm. That ain't the way. What you gonna do, Henry? You is gonna tell Master Brodus. Yes, you is. That little girl is as much Master Brodus' as your own. You tell him he may be able to get your girl back before she gets sold down south. You go looking for trouble. That's all you're gonna get. Now I know, hush up now. We ain't talking about that no more. Well, why, Rick? I don't see why we can't talk about it. I mean, is it really a train that went under the ground like Henry say, or is it just a story? I don't understand why we can't talk about it. It ain't called the Underground Railroad because it's underground. It's called the Underground Railroad because it's a secret. That's why I don't ever talk about it. See, that's how y'all gonna talk, and we's gonna talk. Now, my husband, Ben, told me that 3 Negroes that run off the farm run it. They got whites and 3 Negroes helping them get to safety, freedom, but it ain't safe. That's why I don't want to hear none of y'all talking about running off on it. Now, I know if we just work real hard and we don't pose no problems, and Master Brodus gonna write us our freedom papers. But what if he don't write us our freedom papers? Then what we gonna do, Rick? We is gonna wait. Don't y'all remember what the Bible says? Those that wait upon the Lord, he shall renew their strength. They shall rise up like eagles. They shall walk and not be weary. They shall run and not faint. So, we just gonna wait. Right, Henry? Fine, Rick, fine. I'll tell Master Brodus. I'll let him handle it. But I can't promise that I won't do nothing if he don't get my girl back. Well, that's just fine, Henry. That is just fine. That was my mama. She always knew how to talk to people right, get their hopes up about freedom. But I just don't know how long we is gonna wait. You know what I think? I think that this Underground Railroad is God's way of helping us get our freedom. Isaiah! Isaiah, boy, you have got to go. You cannot stay here. Isaiah, the overseer's coming. You've got to go. You cannot stay. Then the overseer come up behind us, and he says, "Thank you, girl, for helping me catch this unruly Negro. Since you're so keen on helping me catch him, why don't you help me whip him then?" And I just look back at him. I don't say nothing. And he looked back at me all confused. He don't know what to say. And then Isaiah run off, and I run after him so that the overseer can't get to him. But then the overseer picks up something big and black, but it don't hit Isaiah. Oh, he hit me. And he says, "Get up, girl." So I make my way to a crate or a barrel or something. And he says, "Get up." But I can't. I can't walk out the store. I can't even go back to the fields that day. So they pick me up. They take me all the way back to Master Rhodes's farm. All the way back to my mama. And I was real sick for I don't know how long, because I don't remember much, except hearing dreams and voices and prayers and such. And I remember I had me a dream that I was standing on a rock, just like this. And when I look down at myself, I see Moses. And when I look out, I see all the children of Israel. And when I look even further out, I see this huge body of water. And I hear the Egyptian soldiers coming up behind me, but I ain't afraid, because I just part my hands like this, and all the water parts, and all the children of Israel just walk on to freedom. But when I look closer, I see that it ain't the children of Israel. It's my family. It's my mama and my daddy and all my brothers and sisters, and they just walk on to freedom. As I got older, that dream has stayed with me. I's married now. I's Araminta Tubman now. I married me a free Negro, John Tubman. We've been married about 5 years now. Say something, John. Is you mad? Sad? Vexed at me? I told you I'm supposed to be sold down south. You don't say nothing. I told you I don't want to live like this no more. I want us both to run north so we can both be free and live as free, man and white, and you don't say nothing. 5 years I watched him live as a free Negro while I was still in chains. And I reasoned in my mind that I got the right to 2 things, liberty or death. And as God is my witness, I'm going to have me one or the other. And that same night, I had me another dream. I dreamed that I was flying. Yes, I was flying over hills and valleys and streams and mountains. And I see this river, and make it halfway across, I feel myself slipping. And I see that I'm not going to make it. And just before I hit the ground, I see these women dressed all in white. And they just stretch out their arms and carry me the rest of the way across. And the next day, when I'm on my way out to the fields, I see that the kitchen slaves have hung up a quilt with the North Star on it. And I tells my brothers, Henry, Ben, get ready, boys. Tonight's the night. Thank y'all for listening to my story, but I'll be back in a few to answer some of y'all's questions. Right now, I think there's another nice young lady who wants to speak to y'all.
Forgive me, I have some work I have to finish. Papa says I can't work and talk at the same time. I had to bring my work home because I couldn't finish all of it at the factory. I have many, many flowers I have to finish sewing. Sometimes, when I work late at night, Maria will sneak into the living room. Maria is my little sister. She makes me laugh. She comes running in and she says to me, Rosalie, Rosalie, I missed you today. Can you tell me the stories of Italy, please? And I tell her, I missed you too, Maria. Okay, sit right here and listen. Maria is too young to remember Italy, but I tell her we lived in Leonina, near the great city of Siena, where it was always warm and the sun was always so bright. And there was a Duomo, a church, and a large field of sunflowers where I would play every day with the other children. Of course, we still had chores to do around the house. But we had the most wonderful food, and after supper at exactly 5 p.m., all the neighbors would take an evening walk together. I told her the happy times we had before we faced the hard times. What was our house like? We lived in a beautiful apartment inside a big stone house, the color of burnt sienna, like red clay. And there were trees all around, and grass, and a yard for us to play in. Mama had a garden too. She grew the most beautiful flowers and pomodoros, which, as you already know, is a tomato. And then I'd hear Mama calling for Maria, so I'd send her back to bed. Oh, Leonina, it was so wonderful. Maria was very little, but we used to play together, make each other laugh. We helped Mama take care of Gio. I helped Mama make the gnocchi. We had the most wonderful suppers. Our entire family would pray together and sing songs. Papa was a loud baritone, and Mama had the most beautiful voice. Me and Maria would stop singing so we could listen to her. But soon everything began to change. Our suppers were becoming smaller. We would eat the same things for many nights. Sometimes Mama and Papa would go without so that we could eat. I had to wake up extra early to do the chores. Mama and Papa started arguing a lot. Gio cried so loud. One night, I overheard them in a terrible argument. Papa said, "I do not know what we are going to do, Lucia. My wages are too low. I cannot afford to put food on the table. I have heard from my cousin Pablo there are many jobs to be offered and much money to be made in America. Leave Leonina? Where will we go? Where will we live? This is our home. This is where our family is. I will not hear it. Lucia, families make sacrifices in times of need. We are a family. We must go to America." Before I even knew it, we were packing up what little belongings we had, saying goodbye to our friends and family. And going to America on a large boat. Papa said it would be a long journey and there would be many other people on the boat with us. The boat was crowded with people who came from different places and spoke languages I never heard of. The boat was rocky. Poor Maria was sick for almost the entire journey. The boat was cold and scary. But occasionally, I would sneak up onto the deck and I would look at the sun and the water. Oh, it was so beautiful to look at. It made me feel better. I saw the Lady Liberty! We are finally in America! Before I even knew it, we were docked at Ellis Island. Ellis and onto the dock. When I finally got onto the dock, I didn't have my legs quite yet. They were still at sea. Name, country of origin. The Americans were yelling out our names and asking us questions about where we were from. So Papa pulled Maria and I closer to him and started speaking to the Americans. We are the Randazzo family. R-A-N-D-A-Z-Z-O. Randazzo. Our cousin Paolo is coming to get us. Paolo! We found our cousin Paolo, and he took us to where we would be living. The tenement was small and filthy. There were only 2 rooms. One bedroom for my entire family to sleep in. A small icebox, a stove. One bathroom down the hall we had to share with all our neighbors from the floor. The walls were so thin, you could hear everyone around you. But everyone spoke Italian, so that was good. The place was crowded and there wasn't much room to move around. There were no trees, no grass, no yard for us to play in. Oh, but sometimes me and Maria would see the other children playing on the street and we would want to go play with them. But Mama said we were not allowed to because we could get run over by a cart or a buggy. At first, there was barely enough food. Paolo and his wife would bring the groceries to us while Papa went out looking for work in the factories. And he eventually found work, not at a factory, but cleaning fish at Fulton's Fish Market on the South Street Pier. And even though he worked long and tiresome hours, he did not make enough money to put food on the table, so Mama got a job as a seamstress at a dressmaking factory. She brought baby Gio to work with her every day while I stayed home looking after Maria. But Mama only made $12 a week, and that was not enough, so Papa decided I should get a job as well. In America, many children, especially immigrant children, were allowed to go to work. So Paolo found me a job at Mark's Artificial Flower and Fine Fabric Factory. At first I was excited. I thought we were going to have a garden again like Mama's. Then Papa told me that these flowers were rich women's clothing and decoration, and they weren't real. My first day to work, Papa held my hand the entire way. Mark's Artificial Flower and Fine Fabric Factory was on the top 2 floors of an 8-story building. Papa stood with me at the entrance and said to me, "At 7 p.m., you come straight home. Under no circumstances do you leave after 7 p.m. Do you understand?" And then he told me not to look so frightened. I was only 10 years old when I started working at the factory. I opened the door, started walking up a long staircase. The air was so thick I immediately began to cough. The smell was horrible. It smelled of people's odors. I opened the door and immediately saw rows and rows of girls my age working at the machines diligently. The rumble of the machines was so loud, but the girls were silent. A tall bearded man noticed me. He walked over to me. He yelled, "Are you the new hand?" brought me over to the machines where some of the girls were working at. He asked to see my hands, my feet, and told me to reach in between the threads of the machine called the loom. He wanted to see if I could clear the threads. My hands were too big. I couldn't. And I was afraid that they wouldn't hire me. But he brought me over to a table and chair. He gave me a basket of flowers I had to finish sewing. He wanted them on his desk by the afternoon. I didn't know how to make the flowers. A tall blonde girl came up to me. She asked me if I needed help. She smiled. She was older. Her name was Susan. At first I was afraid to talk because I didn't want to get in trouble with the foreman. But then Susan said it was okay because it was her job to teach the new girls how to make the flowers. So she showed me that it was over, under, over, under, pull through. At first I was very slow at making the flowers, and Susan took some of my work until I could work as fast as the other girls. I worked all morning making the flowers. When the lunchtime bell rang, I had finished my first basket of flowers. I was so excited, so hungry. I pulled out my piece of rye bread my papa had packed for me. But then I noticed that some of the girls were getting fresh rolls from a peddler that came inside the factory. And I was ashamed because we were poor. Susan brought back a fresh roll for me. I was so grateful. My first friend in America. When lunch ended, the foreman yelled at us to get back to work, and he gave me 2 more baskets of flowers to finish sewing. I worked all day making the flowers, until my fingers bled. At 7, I began to leave, but Susan pulled me back. When do I get to go home to my family? And she said, when the work is done. That night, I got home very, very, very late. And I went back to work every day. It was the thought of earning enough money to go back to Leonina that made it possible for me to return. And the fact that me and Susan were becoming really good friends. Where in Ireland are you from again, Susan? And she said, I'm from a small village called Killarney. It is so beautiful, so green, because it rains so much. I loved her accent. And then she told me that she had 5 siblings. Brady, James, Joan, Mary, and Bryce. Loved playing outside with them, and now they all have jobs, like her. And then I asked her, what was your favorite thing to do in Ireland, Susan? She said, my favorite thing to do, dance, the Irish step dance. And then she pointed underneath the table and she showed me it was this dance where you move your feet very, very, very We were being watched. I wish she could have shown me more, but we didn't want to get in trouble. We talked about our lives back home a lot. Susan was my only friend. She was family. As each year went by, I grew more and more tired. It was harder to stay positive. I realized we would not be going home to the stone house in Italy. Work at the factory could be challenging, dangerous even. I knew of some girls who had lost their fingers and limbs working on the looms, and they could no longer work to support their families. And the people in charge, they didn't care. They just replaced the injured workers with new ones. Susan and some other girls had joined a union, the International Ladies Garment Workers Union. But it was dangerous. If the foreman found out, he could have you beaten. days after St. Patrick's Day at the Triangle Factory, nearly 150 girls died, some of them jumping from the 9th and 10th floors of the building to escape the fire. Most of them were immigrants, like myself. A few days later, the International Garment Workers Ladies Union organized a strike. Nearly 80,000 girls and ladies walked out. Susan wanted us to join. But we were afraid we would lose our jobs, so we stayed to work. Soon after, the foreman was locking our doors. And Mr. Marks wouldn't come in without a cloth covering his face. At first I thought it was because of the smell, but it was because there was sickness in the factory. Even Susan and I would cough from time to time. Susan's fingers were becoming brittle, and she grew paler every day. So I gave her water, and I took some of her work. I helped her, like she helped me on the first day. One day, she could not stop coughing. And the girls in charge, they kept yelling at her to be quiet and get back to work, but she couldn't. So I told her, don't worry, Susan, I will get you help. I got up to get her some water, but the other girls stopped me and made me go back to my seat. So I yelled to the girls in charge, will anyone help Susan? Anyone? She needs help. But they pushed me back. They would not let me help her. I noticed that Susan's flowers had red spots on them. Before I even knew it, they were carrying her out of the factory. And they slammed the door. I never saw her again.